Yeah, we had a small crew run down at Woody Greeno and Lincoln. Saw what we were hoping to see out of that group. So weather wasn't ideal. It was pretty humid, pretty hot, tough running conditions. But we got some young people or some inexperienced people, some race experience. Just got them out there in a big field, especially some of those athletes that are going to be moving into that top 10 group potentially for some bigger meets coming up. But yeah, and then Gants Creek this week. We'll take off tomorrow, head down to Columbia. Top 5 course in the entire country, truly a world-class facility. And then on top of that, we got nationally ranked teams on both the men's and women's side there. Entirely different field than we had a year ago. It's nearly doubled in size, and the quality of that competition has drastically improved as well. On the women's side, we'll race Carly for the first time all year, and feel pretty good about where she is and a couple of those other ladies that are going to be in a good place. Unfortunately, Taylor had a non-athletic related injury this week, so she'll be out. It's going to be a tough spot to fill, but I believe our ladies will be able to step up and do well. Men's side, racing Evan for the first time all year. He's back to probably 90% healthy, and getting him out on the course is going to be good. It's just going to be, he's an elite kid. He had a standout freshman season, was one of the top freshmen in the entire region last year, and getting him back is going to be good. The guys are just pretty excited about the opportunity to get out there and see where we're at. It's fun to look at how far this program's come in the time I've been here, to look at an opportunity like this with excitement and ambition, and it's gonna be a good day. Weather looks a little crummy, but we'll take that. We're ready for grit and mud. So.
Are you? When you talk to your runners, I guess, and have those conversations, especially about this tournament coming up, because you've mentioned it multiple times where you think this could be a significant measuring stick in terms of what you want to accomplish this season. Do you sense that they're kind of chomping at the bit to find out, or do you sense a little bit of anxiety?
No, they're ready to go. And it's Fairs and I had a conversation about it the other day. It's the right level of excitement from them. They're not scared at all by any means. We know that we're not going to win or anything like that. Like the competition is truly going to be elite this weekend. The race is going to go out incredibly fast in both the men's and the women's race, but they're not scared, and they're confident in where their fitness is at right now, and they're excited for the opportunity to go see where they measure up. And it's they're not over ambitious. They know where we belong in the field, and they're excited to prove that. I think it's pretty awesome to see that confidence and that excitement out of both the men's and the women's team heading into such a high caliber meet.
What are the keys to not letting the external factors impact the performance? You've said it multiple times, you can't call timeouts and recenter people. Once they get out there, they're on their own basically. Like what's the keys to making sure it's in the right spot?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that. First and foremost, we spend a lot of time on mental imagery and mental prep, things like that. Dr. Spencer, and we're so fortunate to have her on staff here. She does an amazing job with our student athletes, Mark Jones as well, and just helping with those prep things. We talk a lot about that. If you ask a general scientific survey that's been done multiple times, 80 to 90% of running is mental, which sounds crazy. But also, we've done the stuff on the physical side. We had a pretty light workout on Monday, but we did that as the first 800 meters race simulation of what we felt that race was going to go out like, to help our athletes get a good feel of where they need to be, know that they might be in 60th or 70th or 80th place, but that this is where we need to be. If we're ahead of that, we're gonna blow up, and it's not going to go well. The other thing is that Fairs and I will be hustling. We don't get to call a timeout, but Fairs and I, we scoot. We get all over that course. We already have our routes planned out for where we need to get to at different points. We might be able to see our athletes 6 or 8 times in a race. I'd much prefer to be Kirsten or Mac on the sideline and not having to move. But Fairs and I will get some mileage in, and our heart rate will get up into those 190s probably, and we'll be getting where we need to be to get some quick messages to athletes as they are getting through that race. And if things we see, hey, we need to close a gap here, we need to move up here, just be able to communicate those the best we can throughout the race.
Do you have a performance standard for this weekend that you're measuring, or is it just kind of like a roll the ball out and see what happens kind of thing?
A little both, a little both. I think with having, you know, Carly back on the women's side for the first time of the year and having Evan back on the men's side, I think those are two key factors to come into play and what that's going to look like. At the same time, when you look at the field with how many, I mean, Kentucky's there, Florida's there, Stanford's there, UCLA's there, Ole Miss is there. Like it's going to be wild, and that's on top of the normal schools that we've seen at GANS the last couple of years. And so if we have 30 teams, you know, if we can be towards that top in the top half of that field for our program and where we're at right now, that'll be a great day. And so, you know, we kind of set those goals up. We also know that this is not our end-all be-all goal for the year. You know, that's looking at Big East and looking at the regional meet, which are still 6-8 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, we didn't back off training a whole lot this week. We just fell naturally into our training cycle to have a little bit lighter week, but we're still have big goals for when it matters in October and November.
You mentioned some of your athletes had showed themselves last week that they have an opportunity now to crack into some of your top groups. Were you expecting that opportunity to lead to that, or was it some of the similar things you're just talking about right there, or just kind of a repetition sort of thing?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little of both. Like we have some of those kids that at Lincoln this past weekend that are juniors or seniors that we know what to expect from them. We know they've run at Big East before, they've run at a regional before, and we also have some freshmen running really, really well right now. And we would rather see the freshmen and how they process and handle GANS Creek than have that be the first experience for them to be at the regional meet or the Big East meet. So it's a little bit of both, you know, we have that measuring stick for somebody like Eli Moore, who's been on the Big East team and the regional team before. We know what to expect from Eli. We also know he's got big goals that he's training for later in the season. I don't know how Sam Burlinghoff or Lucas Bossinger are going to handle being at the start line at a national caliber field. And so to give them that experience, that helps us big picture both ways. And so I think that, you know, Fayers and I just had a lot of conversations about how we're trying to set this up, and not just for this year, but for next year. Our women will graduate with one female in the entire program, and we get Kara Rupert back. You know, she'll be back in the United States next year, and you know she's planning to be here again, so that's huge. And on the men's side, we graduate a lot, and so you know it's almost like, you know, getting some of those kids that opportunities as experience, so that a year from now they're not sitting there, oh no, right? Like, you know, we've been there, we've done that before, and that's how you build a program. Is you know, it can't be like, well, we graduate everybody, what do we do next? It's like, hey, no, we just keep building and raise the bar and standard, and that's been the goal.
Thank you, Chris.
Perfect, thanks.
Good, thanks.